My name is Jody Rock. I am a band member in Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, currently working as the health liaison. Part of the work that I do is to support health service providers in capacity building, and what that means is putting suggestions in for training of new staff, so onboarding, professional development of staff, with the end goal of having them better able to support Indigenous people as they engage with the healthcare system. Awesome. So nice to chat with you, Ashton. What we're going to be talking about, I'm going to look at my notes here a little bit. Older memory has me forgetting some things. So we're going to talk about holistic health and what that means. So biomedical model of health and wellness, they focus on physical ailments and symptoms, and what the medical profession does is really look at how to relieve those symptoms. So how would you say that's different from our ways of knowing and treating, I guess, what is making us unwell?
Yeah. Well, I guess the difference between that kind of model is that for us, when we think of healing and well-being, we cover mind, body, spirit, right? So we look at everything as a whole. So if you're off balance in just a little way, that can cause these physical symptoms to come up, and that's very different. Our way of treating illness and disease, and I think it's always shown that it works better than these other systems. One of the things that, especially in people that are dealing with grief and loss and in our communities, what tends to happen is when you have all this untreated grief and people going around through life that aren't dealing with these things, it affects their emotional health, their mental health, and then the physical. So these symptoms start to come out over time. And for our medicine and the way that we view things, that we have to take care of all of this as a whole. So for people that come and see me and get medicine from me, oftentimes when I talk to them and sit down with them, there's a lot more than just, I'm dealing with high blood pressure, I can't sleep at night, I'm having heart palpitations, right? There's a lot more to it than usually what is on the surface. And so I had to sit with them and try and go through and figure out what exactly it is causing these issues. And I think that once we do heal that full self, and we cover all those things, the spiritual aspect, the mental, emotional, physical, you see such a change in them. And it just to see that, the way that they look afterwards is totally amazing. It's like they're renewed again.
So when you say you address physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and you see that change in them, would you say it's because they've returned back to a place of being in balance?
Yeah.
Like, is that the big change?
Yeah. Because again, for us, and what I like to show people is just simply the medicine wheel, right? And if we understand that, and we look at it, right, that teaches us from the beginning to the end, and all stages in between, how we're supposed to walk and be on this land while we're here. And so there's so many different things that we have to look at, right? All these different quadrants of not only the body, but again, going with the seasons, right? Because for a lot of people, this is an example, when we go into wintertime, right? And how many people during the winter, they say they feel depressed, they feel alone, they feel down, right? And that's because when we get ready for wintertime, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, we're supposed to prepare for that time. And they say that if you don't prepare for that time, what happens is your mind kind of sets in. And once the snow falls on the ground, your mind is stuck that way for the rest of the cycle. And so that's why a lot of people, because we're not following our traditional ways of being, that we get trapped in those things because we don't understand them, right? So that's just an example of what I was taught from our elders. Yeah.
That's a good example. Yeah. So in your opinion, we talked a little bit about how Western medicine treats symptoms. So in your opinion, What are the drawbacks of treating only the physical symptoms? So, alleviating the nausea or, the pain, numbing the pain or, some of those physical symptoms.
Yeah.
What are the drawbacks when you're only treating the symptoms?
Well, if you're only treating the symptoms, again, and you're not treating things at the source, what can happen, especially if you're somebody that's taking different medications, is that not only you're going to end up with all these side effects afterwards, but again, now you're becoming reliant on these things. And the difference between the Western medicine and our medicine is that we understand that if you give somebody medicine, you treat it at the source. And not only that, you give your body what it needs to heal itself. So that's the difference in our medicine as opposed to Western medicine in treating these symptoms. Now, people will come and see me for, let's say, skin issues as an example, right? So people with eczema, psoriasis, these kinds of things. Well, they give them steroid creams and all these antibiotics, whatever, to try and alleviate these things. But it keeps coming back, or it comes back worse after they've stopped taking them. Well, in our medicine and the way we view things is that we have to treat things internally. You have to treat it at the source. And this way, like I said, you give your body what it needs to fight off these things. And now, in our medicine, what happens is you get all these great things that will happen. So not only is that medicine going to help you treat that disease, that illness, but it's now you're going to have a better heart. It's going to help with high blood pressure. It's going to help with your kidneys. It's going to help with all these different things. And that's the difference in our medicine. You end up with more positive side effects than you do things that are negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a big drawback with pharmaceuticals, is the side effects that come with the medication. Yeah. So one of the things that I've also heard from people is that they're reluctant to use our medicines because, in their opinion, it's taking longer. So they take tea for a couple days and their side effects aren't gone. And they're thinking, oh, that doesn't work. But really what I'm hearing you say is it's working differently in treating what's wrong on the inside.
Well, look at it this way, right? So if you're somebody that all your life has not eaten very well, you're somebody that's relied heavily on pharmaceuticals for such a long time, it sometimes takes that medicine to go through and fix all of these systems, all these things that have been broken for so long. I think the big difference in I guess if we look at Western medicine is the convenience, right? Because you get something that fixes you feel pretty good, pretty fast.
Yeah.
But our medicine, and like I said, it takes time. You have to have patience, because once it finally does get into your system, you'll feel a lot better than you would if you took something else. So that's, again, it has a lot of work to do if you're somebody that has abused your own body for such a long time, right? And so I guess that being the difference.
Yeah. That's a good one for people to know, because a lot of times, like you get a headache, you take a Tylenol or an Advil, your headache goes away, and that works. And maybe for some of our medicines it can work that way, but for others, like you said, you need the time and the patience. So you talked a little bit about some things that happen with the changing of seasons. Is there anything that you want to add about how our health and wellness practices connect to the land or the changing seasons?
Well, I think everything's, like I said, is interconnected. And so in the springtime, right, and again, we follow a different calendar than most, right? We follow the 13 moon cycle. And again, all these things, they're tied together, the language, the culture, right, are the seasons. So we're a very seasonal people. And again, we watch for the medicines when they come up in the spring, and we harvest at that time certain medicines, And again, those medicines are used for that time of the year, right? So when we come out of winter, our immune systems are pretty low. Our lymphatic system needs a lot of help at that time. And again, so we start taking medicines. And if we look at our foods at that time, our traditional foods that come up in the spring, they give us everything we need to kind of help our lymphatic system, to help our immune system, right? To cleanse and detox our livers and our major organs. And so, again, our heart as well. vitamin K, vitamin C, all these things are in there. A lot of B vitamins as well. So all of these things are there for us. And again, if we truly follow the seasons and we utilize our traditional knowledge, we have a healthier way of being.
And I think in some ways, it's like being proactive. So you know that this change is, like you said, talked about winter time, right? So you know this period is coming where you're not going to be out, you're not going to be engaging, you're not going to be getting as much daylight or social time. So you prepare for that. So in a lot of ways, we're not reacting to illness or symptoms as they surface. We're preparing in a very proactive way to stay well, like to be well. That makes sense? Okay. Is there anything you wanted to add about the biggest benefit of using plant medicines or traditional healing practices when compared to Western medicine?
Yeah, so I guess the real benefit, like I said, of using our medicine is that, again, you're not stuck with all of these negative side effects. And so when I tell somebody that, okay, so we're going to take care of your liver issues, but you're going to watch for a lot of things, eh? And one of the things you'll notice is that you have a lot more energy, right? So a lot of the times our medicines will help with adrenal fatigue. So now somebody that's been taking this medicine, they'll notice that right away that, okay, I feel great, I have a lot more energy. Mental clarity, that's another one. So a lot of times the people that get medicine from me, they'll say, I feel so much better, have a better headspace. I can think a lot clearer. Not so much brain fog, things like that. But there's in so many ways our medicines, again, will help with all these different things. And it's not just one particular issue in the body sometimes. And that's the thing. It's like, again, our medicine has such an amazing ability to help us in a lot of different ways, as opposed to fighting our bodies. And that's what we're doing, right?
Well, I appreciate that. You shared some really good stuff today, and I really appreciate you coming out and sharing. Big witch.